Using SAML authentication, users can connect to CloudConnexa with their SAML credentials, enabling access to a range of resources. This system offers the flexibility to establish access control rules that can be applied across all users or tailored to specific users and groups. Generally, the task of assigning users to groups falls to the server administrator, but this process can be streamlined through automation. After a user successfully authenticates, CloudConnexa can perform further actions based on this authentication. So let me explain a little bit more what I mean by that. As you can see, I'm already on our admin user interface of our CloudConnexa. So if I go to settings as user authentication, you can see SAML is already enabled in this environment. But since we don't have the group mapping set up, so if a user logs in with their SAML credentials, they fall into the default group. As you can see on the screen right now, Mia, for example, is one of the users. She already logged in or connected to CloudConnexa and got default groups assigned to her. But that's defeat the purpose because we have resources in our network that we have already set up the access policies and permissions that certain groups, they can have access to certain resources. For example, accounting has access to accounting app and CRM, and sales have access to CRM app, and then tech support has access to the time card app. But since we don't have the group mapping set here, everybody gets assigned to default group and the access to the right resources are not being done properly. To effectively integrate SAML group mapping in CloudConnexa, we need to follow these steps. First of all, we have to configure and enable SAML authentication. Second, we need to make sure that the identity provider, in our case in this video is OKTA, is set up to send group information. Then we need to define and implement group mapping rules within CloudConnexa. And then the last step, we can test and make sure everything's working properly. So our first step is configure and enable SAML authentication. As I showed you in a minute ago, and you can see on the screen, SAML is already enabled in this environment. So we're done with the first step. But the second step, we need to make sure that the identity provider, again, in our case, is OKTA, is set up to send group information. So let me log into the OKTA admin portal and I'll come back. So we are logged into our OKTA admin dashboard. And first thing we're going to do, we're going to go to groups under directory. And you can see we have three groups here. We got finance, sales, and tech support. So we want to map our finance group here to our accounting group on CloudConnexa, sales to sales, and tech support to support. Now, it doesn't really matter what name we give to these groups. The accounting can be finance or anything else. So we need to map these groups so that users get assigned to the right group. So let's go back to OKTA admin dashboard. First step, click on Profile Editor, and then we're going to choose the profile for the SAML application that we set up early on. Click on that, and we need to add an attribute. You can see that there is a username attribute already here, but we need to add the groups attribute here. So click on Add Attribute, and then for the display name, we're just going to type groups, and then variable is group again. And then the rest of the stuff, I'm going to leave it as a default and click on Save. So we already added the attribute here. Now, we need to go and click on Applications, then click on Applications, and you're going to find your SAML or CloudConnexa SAML application and click on that. We need to add the group attributes to our SAML application now. Click on General, and then click, if you scroll down, you're going to see SAML settings. And then we're going to click on Edit here under the SAML settings. And then this screen, we're going to click on Next to get to SAML settings. And you have to scroll down till you see Group Attribute Statements. So this is where we're going to add the attribute to the application. So we're going to type groups for the name. And then under Filter, click on the drop down and choose the last option here, which is Matches REGEX. And then for the value, we're going to do dot asterisk. And oops, let me fix that. And then that's all we need to do. Scroll down, click on next, and then on the following screen, we're going to click on finish. So we added our group attributes to our CloudConnexa SAML application. Now we need to assign the groups to this application. So click on assignments here. And if you go to groups, you can see there is no group here assigned. So click on assign and then choose assign to groups from the drop down. And then here we're going to assign each group. So for example, finance, I'm going to click on assign and then here type groups, the attribute, and click on save. And then we do the same thing for the cells and then tech support, assign, and then groups and save. So click on done here and we can see that the groups have been assigned to this application. This is all we need to do on our OKTA. Basically, we made sure that our identity provider is set up to send the group information by adding the attributes to the applications and assigning the groups. Let's head back to CloudConnexa. Now, if you remember, the third step was defining and implementing group mapping rules within CloudConnexa. In order to do so, click on settings and then user authentication. And here we're going to click on edit. There are two areas we need to visit: view attribute mapping and view group mapping. First, I'm going to click on view attribute mapping. So go ahead, click on that. And then if you scroll down under group, this is where we're going to type our attributes, which is groups, basically. And then click next. And then on the following page, click on complete. So that was done. Now click on edit again. And this time we're going to go to view group mapping. So click on that. And as you can see, there's no rules here. We need to create these rules. Click on the plus sign to add the rule. And we need to type the IDP user groups from our OKTA. If you remember, we had finance, which we're going to map it to our accounting. Please choose that from drop down and click on add rules. Then we're going to add the other two groups here too. So click on plus sign. The next one is going to be cells, and that's going to be mapped to the cells group. Click on add rule. And the third one is going to be tech support, and it's going to be mapped to the support, and click on add rule. So rules have been created. The third step, basically implementing group mapping rules within CloudConnexa, is completed. So now we're going to go to the fourth step, which is testing a user. So if we look at the users, we see Mia here and Sunny. They've already connected to CloudConnexa in the past, but because we didn't have the group mapping, they were assigned to the default group. So let's pick Mia for testing here. As you can see, she already connected to CloudConnexa, but since we didn't have the group mapping, she was assigned to the default group. Let's go to OKTA admin dashboard, expand directory, people, and then we're going to click on Mia's account, and we need to see what group she's a member of. So click on groups, and she's a member of finance. So if everything is set correctly, she should get assigned to the accounting group on our CloudConnexa. So let me bring up the Connect app, and we're going to connect as Mia. And here's the Connect app. As you can see, Mia's profile is already here because she has already connected. So I'm just going to go ahead and toggle the switch to get her connected to our CloudConnexa. And here we go. She is connected. So let's go ahead and refresh our admin CloudConnexa page. And if everything's okay, here we go. We can see Mia is part of the accounting group now. So let's go ahead and test and make sure she can access the right resources. If you remember, accounting group has access to accounting and CRM, and tech support has access to timecard. So if everything is set up correctly, Mia should be able to access the accounting app, but she should not be able to access the timecard. So let's go ahead and test that. I'm going to open up another tab on my browser, and I'm going to type the address for the accounting app. And here we go. And she can access the accounting app. So this part is good. Now let's go ahead and test the timecard. And she's not able to access the timecard. This site cannot be reached. So everything is set correctly. The group mapping is working fine. So this was a quick video on how to integrate SAML group mapping in CloudConnexa while our identity provider is OKTA. Thank you very much.